Ukraine isn't the only problem. America has to worry about China too. When Biden took over the White House, he pledged to manage America's differences with China. But this approach has proved to be challenging. Tensions have escalated in recent years, dangerous military encounters have increased, and communication channels have remained frozen. Until now, US and China now want to talk. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken is all set to visit China this month. It is an attempt to stabilize the relationship. But before Blinken sits down to talk, the US and its allies are facing fresh provocations from the PLA. Our next report brings you the details.
A close call in the South China Sea. And a near miss in the Taiwan Strait. Tensions between the US and China are at an all-time high, and these close encounters are only raising the stakes. Today, there was yet another provocation from the PLA. This time, the target was South Korea. Chinese and Russian aircraft made aggressive moves. They entered South Korea's Air Defense Identification Zone, or ADIZ. This is like a border in the skies. When you enter this area, you need to identify yourself. Otherwise, any plane can be considered as hostile. But Chinese and Russian jets went in unannounced. Beijing said they were on a joint patrol. But for Seoul, the move was a provocation. In response, they scrambled their own jets. Diplomatic protest followed. The South Koreans say such flights can cause tensions in the region. They are not the only ones who are complaining. Earlier this week, Japan was targeted too. Russian and Chinese bomber planes showed up in the Sea of Japan. These planes flew together till the East China Sea, where two more Chinese fighter jets joined the formation. Just like its neighbor, Japan too scrambled its jets in response. Why are the hostilities rising? The actions of China and Russia coincide with military exercises in the region. The US and its allies have been doing drills in the Indo-Pacific. Countries like South Korea, Japan, and the Philippines have participated with large contingents. That's not all. The US has stepped up its deployments in the region too. The expanded presence is supposed to be a deterrence. Instead, they're leading to more close calls. Recently, the US Defense Secretary admitted these encounters could lead to dangerous outcomes.
Provocative intercepts of our aircraft and also our allies' aircraft. That's very concerning, and we would hope that they would alter their actions. But since they haven't yet, I'm concerned about at some point having an incident that could very, very quickly spiral out of control.
Washington has been seeking a dialogue with Beijing. For weeks, China was reluctant, but recently it had a change of heart. There has been a flurry of high-level contacts. First, CIA Director Bill Burns visited Beijing. A secret visit happened in May at China's invitation. Then, the US National Security Advisor met with Wang Yi, China's top foreign policy official. They met in Vienna for 2 days. Then this week, there was another meeting. Two senior American officials met with their counterparts in Beijing. The talks seem to have paved the way for another high-level meeting. Secretary of State Antony Blinken will now visit China. But ahead of Blinken's arrival,
the truth is that the US warships and jets traveled all the way to China's doorstep to provoke, insisting on conducting close-in reconnaissance near the airspace and territorial waters of China and flexing their military muscles. This is not safeguarding freedom of navigation, but promoting navigation hegemony. It is a blatant military provocation, which is the root cause of maritime and air security risks.
And that's the major flashpoint, the growing military developments, and the lack of communication channels between the two armed forces. The military-level dialogue is yet to be revived, and without that, the risk of a dangerous escalation will continue to remain high.